Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to a video for what sold October 22nd through the 31st. I know that's a really big time frame. So usually when it's the end of the month, if there's only like a few days left for the like there's not a whole week, then I will just kind of combine those days into the last week. So we had from the 22nd until the 31st. So it was a week and a half or 10 days. Um, and oh my gosh, did we make a lot of sales? So I'm really excited to go over all of them with you. We are going to start on eBay, then go into Mercari, and then Poshmark. So the one thing that I will tell you that I did for the last week and a half of October was I started to really realize that I have so much inventory, and because I want to get a lot of new Christmas inventory in, or inventory for Christmas, I should say, and I want to start ramping up how much I'm listing and the amount of items I'm adding into our online store. I realize I'm going to have to clear out a lot of old inventory. And so I want to start having more sales these last couple months of the year so that I can get rid of a lot of old inventory. And then once the new year is here, that way I won't have so much old stuff in my storage. And that'll just allow me to bring some new things in, make the shopping experience a little easier for buyers and things like that. My stores won't just be bogged down with old inventory. So I'm trying to be a little less worried about getting like the very highest amount of money possible for my items, accepting some lower offers, and running some more sales. So when it was so, and I will also say I have not listed anything new in probably over a week. I know this video is about 9 days since my last one, and I've really just taken time off of reselling. Well, I do share every single day. I also have um my flip cross posting uh not app, but I guess website. It also shares for me, and it shares, I'll show you here. It shares for me. I have it set to share at midnight, 4 in the morning, 7 in the morning, 10 in the morning. So that's a 4 hour gap, a 3 hour gap, 3 hour gap. And then 2 hours later, I share at the 12 o'clock party. I'll share the 3 o'clock party myself. I share the 5 o'clock party, the 7 o'clock party. And then because the 10 o'clock party is the entire closet, it's a lot of stuff to share. I have Flip share that for me. So my entire closet is getting shared 5 times a day. And then I'm also sharing a few items, whatever happens to fit the party guidelines during those parties throughout the day. And sometimes lately they'll have where the one of the parties is your whole entire closet. So I'm definitely still sharing a lot. uh, I have cross-posted maybe once in the past like week or two, and I am pulling solds constantly. We're getting things shipped out in a timely manner. So all of that is still, and I'm still like, counter offering and accepting offers, declining offers, and whatever back and forth. So there's still closet activity, there's still the engagement there, but I'm just not listing it new items really recently. And that's just because it is the holidays, and my most important thing is to be a mom and a wife. And it's not necessarily to run a business all the time 24/7. So during the holiday season, yes, I'm going to try to do the things I need to do to keep my business running, but I'm not going to be giving it 100% of my undivided attention. I'm just not. And I hope that when you see the numbers, you'll see that it still works out. All right, so going into eBay, we sold this vintage vest that was new with tags. I picked this up at Goodwill. I remember bringing it home, and my husband thought it was so ugly, and he was like, "Is that even gonna? Is that?" Oh, he said, "Elizabeth, do you think that's really gonna sell?" And I said, "It's wool. It's vintage. It's new with tags. It's plus sized. It's beaded, and it kind of looked like, I feel like it might have looked like it was." I can't remember if this was like a snowflake-esque design or not, but I was just like, it has a lot of really, really good things going for it. And even if I don't get $100 for it, it's still, yeah, I think it's gonna sell. And it did. It sold for $25. And after fees, and our shipping label got taken out and everything. Our order earnings were $20.51 minus our $4 cost of goods means we profited $16.51. Then we sold one of our two American Eagle corduroy skirts. This I picked up from somebody off Facebook, and this sold for $23. Next was these Nine West heels that I picked up from Goodwill. These were vintage, like very Y2K. They had like I think maybe a squared toe or something. And they were yeah, they were leather and they sold for $40. Next was another Goodwill find, a merino wool open cardigan. I was a little concerned about this being extra small, but as you see, it still sold for $48. Mini Bowden leather shoes. My mom picked these up at a consignment store. They were little kid shoes, mini Bowden, and they sold for $17.95. A Harry Potter themed t-shirt. I got this off of Temu actually. This I wore for my youngest's 9 3/4 months party, and it sold for $10.25, which is more than I even paid for it, which was pretty cool. So some people have asked me why would someone buy something off of eBay or offline, from Poshmark, eBay, Mercari when they could just get it themselves off of some place like Temu. So for one, some people just don't trust buying things off of Temu. They don't know that the item they're going to get is the item pictured. Excuse me. For when I order something off of something like Temu, I will go to the review section and I look at anybody who has posted pictures of the actual item itself. And I also pay a lot of attention to the size chart when I order. And then if it's not as it was described or whatever, how I expect it to be when it comes in, Temu has an awesome return policy. But that's besides the point. So anything that I do buy and I get it really cheap and I'll use it and then I make sure that I also put the size measurement, like I always do measurements with a measuring tape or a yardstick, and I put those in the description. So it's a little easier for people to be able to see as opposed to having to go back and forth and looking at some size chart on a website. And then I will also say I wore this as a size large, extra large, or it happens to fit this way. And some people also may not know that you can go onto Temu and buy something like this, or they may not want to have to go onto another app and look for this when they're already used to and familiar with shopping on eBay. Or they might need something right now and they don't want to have to wait that extra week and a half to 2 weeks that it could take something like Temu to ship an item to them. So those are just some reasons. And this did sell, like I said, for $10.25, which was more than I paid for it. So very awesome. Then we have this really cool Kingdom Hearts Keyblade. And this was something my husband picked up a couple years ago from Spirit Halloween after Halloween. So, like the day after we went when they had everything half off. I can't even remember how much this was, like $30 maybe. And we had done that before with some kind of it was like a video game or something. Like they were these fake guns. And we sold them for a couple $100, I think. And that was about 2 years ago. I think he first got these for himself. He was just going to keep them up. He had them in his office downstairs. He had them on the wall. There's this one and there's one more that we have listed that's like slightly different. And then he said, you know what? It was a little before Halloween. I think it might have been this summer. He was like, I want to list those. I'm just going to see if they'll sell. Maybe someone will want them. Well, I will tell you, I got the most hate on Mercari. I would say at least once or twice a week. I was having people comment in the comment section on these on Mercari telling me what a scam, not rare, what a joke, scam artist. You can get these from Spirit Halloween for 30 or no, for like half the price they were saying for however much Spirit currently has them for. And I would go, so Mercari had the option that you could like flag a comment as spam or something and it would hide it. And that's what I had to do for like at least 15 comments. I had to do that on these because So this is what I have to say for this. For one, someone has the right to take something that they have bought with their own money and used. This was technically used. It was on the wall as a display. And they have the right to list that item for however much they want to. I could have listed this for $1 or $2 or $150 or $300,000. It doesn't matter. I could list it for that amount. Does that mean it will sell for that? No, it surely doesn't, but I have the right to do so. So in no way was me listing this for, I can't remember, I think we had it for like 175 starting out. That was not a scam. Um, at the time that we listed this over the summer, this was not being sold in a Spirit Halloween because Spirit Halloween stores were not open. And so it was a rare item to be able to find because you could not walk into a local Spirit and purchase this item. So it was something that would be hard to find and you wouldn't be able to get them very much. Therefore, it was a rare item to be able to get it. And so I don't know, comments like that were, I wouldn't say they were irritating, but it was just kind of like, like a dope moment. Like, come on, guys. Like, yes, at the time that it was listed, which was not October, it was the middle of summer, it was rare. And the thing was, we were getting a lot of attention, we were getting a lot of offers on them. So finally, someone bought this. Let me see if there's a date on it. Think it's at the top, but it has the person's phone number, so I won't scroll up. But it would have been that last week and a half of October. And so, look, as you can see here, it sold for $152. And the one thing I will say that was a little bit of a hiccup with this after it sold was whenever I had cross posted it. So my husband posted them on Poshmark first, and we let them sit for a few months. And we did that because it was just going to be like the easiest way to ship these because they were super, super like long. And so it was going to be the easiest way to ship them. We weren't going to have to worry about the measurements and the weight and everything. And finally, we said, you know what, these have sat a little bit and it's getting close to Halloween. Let's go ahead and cross post them. But when I cross posted them for some reason, and I don't think I've ever really had an issue with this on Flip before, but the measurements and the weight of the box that I measured them in, that I weighed them in, that didn't save. So when I cross posted them to eBay, it put the measurements of the measurement for was like 4 pounds for the weight, and that was accurate, but the size of the box saved as 1 by 1 by 1 or something silly like that. So when the person paid calculated shipping, they only paid $6.97. Now, when my husband went to go ship this off, he put in the measurements of the box, and to ship via USPS Ground Advantage, which is like the cheapest shipping that USPS will allow you to do, it was going to cost, I don't even remember, like $70, $80 or something. And he had almost had a heart attack, and he called me in there and he said, "What are we gonna do?" So at first I did consider just canceling the order and telling them I'm so sorry, there is an issue when this got posted for the shipping, and if you want to repurchase it and pay this astronomical amount, feel free to do so. And then I thought, no, there has to be something else we can do. So I finally went looking through other shipping methods, and I found that if we shipped via UPS, we could ship it for $20. Now, of course, they paid $6.97, we paid $20. Yeah, that was us making a $13 mistake. But to me, I'd rather eat that $13 cost than have to lose out on the sale, disappoint a buyer, potentially get negative feedback. This is on eBay too, so that's like the worst place you can cancel a sale. Um, have to relist it. Sometimes when things get relisted, buyers or interested buyers that maybe had this on their watch list would not see that it got relisted. It had already been taken off of both other platforms, so then that would be relisting on there too. And then maybe those people who had looked at the old item, they wouldn't get notified that it had been relisted, all those kind of things. And I just was like, I don't want the headache. We're going to eat the $13 cost for the mistake, and we're shipping UPS. And we'll just go to the UPS store. It'll be a little bit of a drive, but it's okay. And we are actually able, just in case you don't know, UPS, you can drop off UPS packages at a number of different stores that aren't UPS. So if you don't have a UPS store close to you, I think CVS, can't remember the other one, but I know CVS. CVS accepts the packages. So that was very convenient. So sorry about the little story time rant, but yeah. So we did end up making $113.68 profit after shipping and after the cost of goods. That was a really nice bump for our profit for eBay for that. Then we had this J. Jill boho top. I don't think it was linen, but it kind of had that feel to it. I did get this at Goodwill and it sold for $20. Next was a J. Crew scarf. My mom gave me a bunch of these that she had gotten really cheap off of J. Crew one year. They're all new in package. I have like a bunch of them in different colors, and this sold for 17. And then the last thing we sold on eBay was the City Knits, that liquid knit, kind of like a Chico's Traveler style pants. And if you remember when I did the haul video on these, the waistband was like a little bit stretched. So I made sure that I put the measurements in that. All right, and these sold for $13.50. I ran like a really big sale on eBay. I can't remember how much it was for. I think it was like 15% off. And then I was also sending offers. If people like things, I would send an additional offer on them. I just, like I said, wanted things to go. So for the last week and a half of October on eBay, we profited $253.07. That is insane because that was more than we had made in week 2 completely in profit on all sites, and week 3 of October on all sites. So to have made that in 1.5 weeks, but just on eBay alone was insane. $253. Oh my gosh. Now we'll move on to Mercari. This sold 3 days before Halloween. This is a little bit of a tricky situation, and I'm just glad that nothing negative really came out of it. This was a new without tags Halloween costume that my mom had bought me when I was in high school, and it was like the day after Halloween, and we went to Spirit with a friend, and I fell in love with this, and it was so pretty, and I promised that I would wear it at some point, and I never did. Okay. I remember it being pretty expensive too. I think she probably paid, I'm sure, like $30 to $35 for half price. It was one of their like premium costumes. Anyway, so yes, it's pretty old. And I found it when I was cleaning out the closet in the unlisted inventory room and decided to throw it up on Mercari, even though it was only like a couple weeks to Halloween. And when I listed it on eBay, I made sure to update the shipping instead of 5 days that we normally give ourselves, so we have plenty of extra time. I put our shipping to like 2 or 3 days just so that if people bought, would see it, they would see that it'd get there before Halloween. Anyway, someone messaged me on Mercari 3 days before Halloween, and she said she had a Halloween party. Halloween was Thursday. She had a Halloween party that Friday. So, like, technically, I think that was what, the first? Yeah, the 1st of November. And she wanted to know if it would get here in time for her party. Get this off my screen. Okay. She wanted to know if it would get here in time for her party. And she said, "Would you be able to ship this tomorrow? I have a party on Friday that I would like to wear this for." I did not promise her it would get here for the party. I did not promise that. That's like a big mistake that you could make. Oh yeah, no problem. I'll get it shipped. It'll be there in time. No, I did not, because I know how the post office is. I know how the holiday season can be with the post office, and I'm not going to make someone a promise and then that could come back on me. That could potentially be a return, negative feedback, whatever. What I did tell her is, if you buy this, I will make sure it gets out in the mail tomorrow. I did not promise a time that it would take to get there. And so she bought it and unfortunately did not get there Friday. In fact, I will say that for some reason there was a really bad delay. She lived in California, and as you know, I'm in North Carolina, so that's like the other side of the country. So, that was even more stacked against it. And I feel like it didn't even get there until maybe like this week. It took a long time. There was some kind of a hiccup in the shipment, and it sucks. It does, but I mean that's just a risk that you take when you're buying something online. So luckily she didn't leave any kind of bad feedback. I mean, I'm sure she realized it's not really on us. We shipped it out the next day as we promised we would. But I do hate that for her, but that, like I said, that is just a risk, and as a seller, you're not responsible for shipping time. So that dress sold for $25. And the second thing that sold that last week and a half on Mercari were these Abercrombie and Fitch straight jeans, and they sold for 24. Our total profit on Mercari was $41. Now we go to Poshmark. Poshmark, we had a ton of sales. As you can see, all these tabs open at the top of my screen. I remember we were just making all these sales, and I told my husband, like, the what sold video is gonna be so long. Now I feel like I don't want to say for 100%, but I feel like we were making decent sales throughout that last week. And then when it was Halloween, I was like sitting there passing out candy, and I thought, oh my gosh, I bet people are like just at home scrolling on their phones and stuff, waiting for trick-or-treaters to come knocking. I should just do like a really big sale. And so I ran a waterfall sale, which, if you don't know what that is, I have a video about how I run a waterfall sale. And instead of just doing the 10, 20, 30, I actually went and ran a 40% off one as well. So I sent 40% off offers. So if you see some of this stuff going cheap, that would be why. But I'm telling you, it did bring in some good sales. So these were another pair of flared Lucky Brand jeans in 18W. I've had like four of these sell recently. These sold for 25. A pair of American Eagle skinny jeans sold for $24, and they were also a bigger size 16. In one of my Facebook groups, someone was asking what was selling for us lately, and I said jeans, for sure jeans, because if you'll notice, a lot of these are going to be jeans coming up. And someone asked me, well, what style jeans? And I said, surprisingly, a good amount of these are actually still skinny jeans. So while I have kind of stopped picking up so many skinny jeans, they are still selling, so that's a good sign. These Allegria they're like nursing shoes or healthcare worker shoes, and they sold for 28. I was a little concerned when I picked these up from Goodwill because I think they were like a smaller size, and they were a houndstooth print, but they weren't really black and white. They were like black and cream. They almost looked like they had yellowed, but it was so even that I'm thinking maybe they didn't yellow and they just happened to be like an off-white, but they still sold for a decent amount, so that was good. J. Jill bootcut jeans sold for 15. I was okay with that because there was nothing super special about them, and they were just a size 4. The Kabi wide leg crop jeans I had listed recently sold for 27. This sold outright. I think it was like overnight or something. Or later at night. I just remember seeing the full price sale went through. It was a burgundy dress that I had picked up at Goodwill, and it sold for $20. This was an awesome bundle. So I don't sell too many bundles on Poshmark, but someone was interested in this brown suede coat, and when I went to go add it to her or when I went to go send an offer on it or something like that, I saw she had also liked this Y2K Victoria's Secret nightie. So I thought, oh well, I always will bundle it for somebody, even though it doesn't usually result in any sales. And so it was originally $200 and then 40. And I thought, you know what? I had bought this to sell back in college, this nightie. And the jacket we had had for maybe listed it for maybe about 6 months or so. And we hadn't really gotten, I mean, obviously it hadn't sold yet. So I was like, I wonder if I send her an offer for 200, which would be essentially throwing in the nightie for free, if she would accept it. And she did. So we sold the coat and the nightie for $200. And then Poshmark, of course, took $40 off of that, which wasn't very fun. I wish it had sold. I think the 24th was when Poshmark reverted back to their 20%, or what is it, 30% they take? Whatever. They're back to their old fees structure. And I was like, man, if it had just sold like the day before, then I would have gotten less fees taken out, which would have been nice. But regardless, that was a really good sale. Then we had another Vermont Country Store nightgown sell for $34. My mom bought me some more. I thought I had purchased all the ones at that store, but it looks like they brought out more inventory. The interesting thing was, if you remember me telling you guys that there was, I think I mentioned that there was like another brand called Carol that was next to the Vermont Country Store items, and it looks super similar. My mom actually said when she went back to that store, they had a third brand that was not Carol and not Vermont Country Store, but it was the same material. So now what my idea is that I'm think because that like resale store gets things from companies. I'm thinking that maybe like some warehouse that produced Vermont Country Store, Carol, and then whatever that third brand was. I'm almost wondering if maybe they found like this old stock in the back of their warehouse somewhere or something like that, and maybe they produced those items for those three companies. And I'm sure you guys have like heard about how places can like will produce something for a store brand and then like Walmart brand Cokes and then actual Coca-Cola, and it's the same product but with a different label on it. So I'm almost wondering if maybe that's kind of what's going on with the Vermont Country Store and the Carol brand and that third brand my mom found. Maybe it's like the same kind of items. They're, super similar and they just were making them for the different brands. And maybe the warehouse that made them found all these old items of theirs and they were like, "Oh, these are obviously old. We can't send them to the company, so we'll just donate it to this resale store." And I don't know. That could be completely off, but that's just my guess. Because, like I said, my mom keeps going back and finding the stuff, and it is like the Carol stuff for sure is like vintage. I can definitely tell that's vintage. I'm not sure about Vermont Country Store. Maybe I could like look at their new tags and try to compare it and see if those are different than the tags of the ones I have. But anyway, they've just been selling, so I'm not complaining. Next was a My Chemical Romance t-shirt that we found in the men's bin of our Goodwill, and it sold for $21. I found this in the women's bin, but they might have charged me a sweatshirt price. I'm not really sure. I can't remember. Found this at Goodwill and it was a size small. It did have a few flaws on it, but I made sure to list that in the description. And what's very good about this was that now that it's hockey, it sold as soon as hockey season started. So as you see, I'm wearing my hockey shirt. But yeah, this sold as soon as the hockey season started and it sold for $22. My mom gave me this. She had gotten this from LLB and she said for pretty cheap. I told her I was so excited. I said this sold for $45 and she's like, that's more than I paid for it. And I'm trying to think, was this the one that had? No, this isn't the one that had the dust bag. The or the Land's End one is, and we're still waiting for that one to sell, I think. But this sold for 45. It's perfect for Christmas, right? With the red plaid. Then I just had this in a recent haul video. The fashion to figure denim dress was really cute. Plus size 3X and it sold for 20. Abercrombie and Fitch skinny jeans sold for 18. I'd had this for over a year on Poshmark and it was a baby mobile that goes on the crib and it plays like white noise and music. That sold for 15. I got this for like $3, I think. There's a place in town called Black Friday and it's like a bin store where they get Amazon returns, Target returns, things like that. And then like when it starts out on Fridays, it's everything in the bins are $8. Then the next day goes down to 7, then 6 and 5. And so I picked this up I think for like $3, maybe 5, and it sold for 15. These Torrid Bombshell Flare jeans sold for 27. American Eagle Tom Girl jeans sold for 17. Vermont Country Store two-piece pajama set sold for 28. And lastly, another bundle. So I had sold two bundles in this week and a half. And again, I like never sell bundles. And I gave this girl a pretty good offer. This was a plaid hooded top that I got from someone off of Facebook. I've had this for over a year on Poshmark. It was a waterproof tablecloth and it was Christmas colors, a dress that I got from Goodwill, and then jeans that I got from Goodwill. And I sent her an offer for, let me see, $66. So I think I ended up thinking like 30. 40, 50, 50, 16, something like that. I remember I tried to like keep these higher. But yeah, so $66. I thought that was pretty good. eBay did take $13, but overall I was happy with how much we profited on that. So for Poshmark, oh my goodness, for Poshmark we profited $438.54, meaning our total profit for the last week and a half was $732.61, which is almost what we made in the first 3 weeks. So our total profit for the month of October was $1,524.93. So $1,525. So that's awesome. Our goal was 1,000 and we did 1.5 times that. Um, I'm incredibly impressed, incredibly grateful, and I also know that it's not going to be that for December because I haven't been putting in the work. And that's okay, but that was good. We cleared out a bunch of inventory, made room for new items, and I'm extremely happy. That's more money than I used to make when I was a teacher assistant, and had I put in hardly any work this month, so I'm happy for that. I hope your sales have been going just as well. Let me know what's been selling for you. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.